Piss off, you grotty little wanker!
Ladies and gentlemen, I have returned. Now I know it's been a minute since the last video, and I do apologize for that. I've been plucking away diligently at Expedition 33 and Death Stranding 2. I've been having a great time, but it's time to come back, talk about some Naruto. And boy, do we have a big one today, because we will be covering episodes 362 to 426. And it's a batch of episodes that have some pretty high highs and some low lows. So we're going to get into it. And as I like to normally do, I like to start with some of the good things that we got in this arc. And my first one is the revival of the 4 Hokage and the story of the Hashirama and Madara meeting that comes from there. Throughout the story, Hashirama, Tobirama, and Minato have just been built up as these just legendary figures. And so it was actually kind of refreshing that they show up, and the way they act is kind of goofy, actually. But like, don't get me wrong, you know, despite how goofy they can be, when the time comes to get serious, it gets serious. I mentioned the backstory that Hashirama has, and it's all about him meeting this young Madara, and two of them kind of developing this dream to found the Leaf Village and hopefully try to change the shinobi culture for the better. And I thought it was just like really great the way that that little story was told about how like from these two warring factions, the two of them met. Despite being enemies, they didn't really view each other as enemies. They didn't even know that they were supposed to be hating each other until their parents came and told them. So it really just goes to show that a lot of times like that hatred is instilled in children or the parents, and it's not just something that happens inherently by normal means. But of course, the tragedy has to strike. We got to have some drama. Of course, eventually the two of them kind of have a falling out, become enemies. Although it was nice to see that Hashirama still tried to make things work with Madara. Like, he even wanted to try and nominate him to be the first Hokage, but I don't know, the way that people just hate the Uchiha, it was just too much for him to overcome. Now, continuing on from there, another thing that I really enjoyed was the matchup we got between Obito and Kakashi. Now, we've already had a lot of setup for this fight. Like, obviously, Kakashi and Obito, we've had many flashbacks, a lot of build up to them. Obito kind of viewing Kakashi as a rival, and then eventually him getting the powers to do something with a Sharingan. And of course, I can't forget the fact that Obito blames Kakashi, at least partially, for the death of Rin. So having all of this like bent up anger at Kakashi just kind of explode out of him was it was quite exciting to see. This fight really had it all. We had like really fantastic fight choreography, beautiful animation, and I love the way that it depicted this fight in tandem with a previous spar that they had. So you see kind of like the flip-flopping back and forth between Obito as a kid and him as an adult, and then Kakashi as a kid and an adult, and how those two different scenarios mirrored each other in a lot of ways, but also had they ended in different ways, with Obito actually going for the killing blow in the present timeline. And then of course it has ended in such a dramatic way, with the two of them both delivering substantial wounds to each other and basically knocking each other out of this war, at least temporarily. Now, let's talk about Madara's revival. Horrifically, Obito is forced to use the Rene rebirth on Madara, despite the fact that he wanted to try and redeem himself, revive all of the fallen shinobi. But Madara, he ain't having that. He is gonna force the situation one way or another. Madara has just been flexing on people since his introduction, and he still gets more opportunities to continue doing that. His revival here, he comes back without his eyes, and he's just like, all right, well, I guess I gotta wipe out the entire army while I'm blind. And then he does it easily. But like, I can't get too mad because I'm a lover of the aura farmers, and Madara may be the #1 aura farmer in this entire series. Now, let's move on to some more negative I have. First one is also Madara. Well, I really enjoyed him like being revived and getting his full body back. It's almost immediately undercut by the fact that he then goes on and he captures all the tailed beasts again, and immediately goes and turns himself into the 10-tailed Jinchuriki. It's man, I did not like this. Like, first off, we literally just got done with a long stretch of time where Obito had turned himself into 10-tailed Jinchuriki. So it's like, all right, we're gonna do the exact same thing again. And the thing that like really annoys me about this isn't just the fact that we're kind of like repeating the same plot beat, but it's the fact that in a way it's kind of a downgrade for Madara. Like, yeah, he's still incredibly strong, arguably stronger than he was before, but like not as fun to watch when he becomes the 10-tailed Jinchuriki. Like, does that make sense? Like he gets a different set of powers, and I don't know, it's just not as fun to watch him wipe the floor of people when he's using that set of powers compared to the ones he had before. Because Madara is doing what he's doing, it almost necessitates the fact that our heroes have to go and get these godlike power-ups in order to stand any chance, and like that is literally what they go do. So we get the Sage of Six Paths. He shows up to Naruto in a dream, which is already kind of a weird way to introduce him, but okay, fine. So the Sage of Six Paths shows up and he's like, yo, I need you and Sasuke to take care of the problem, so here's some power-ups for you. And it's frustrating because like I don't necessarily hate the idea that Sage of Six Paths is like giving these gifts to our heroes because he feels at least like somewhat responsible for causing the current predicament, but I don't know, I feel like the execution is just, it leaves a lot to be desired. Like, because the way it's delivered is like we have this straight up like a 20-minute exposition dump of him being like, here's where the chakra comes from, here's the divine tree, here's Kaguya, she's the ones that originally harvested chakra, she's my mother, blah blah blah. Here's how all the ninja got their powers. And then he's like, oh, and by the way, my son Ashura and Indra, yeah, they've been reincarnating, and I think you two are those reincarnations. People, Naruto fans, they might be hating me for this, but like, I really don't like this idea that Naruto and Sasuke are now like reincarnations of a god. I mean, surface level, yeah, it's kind of cool and it's badass, but at the same time, it's like, it really takes away from their characters, because throughout this series, you've had to watch them, at least Naruto, you've had to watch Naruto work his ass off to achieve some of like the new moves, some of the techniques that he has to develop his skill and chakra the way he has. Like, he's had to actually like really work hard. And yeah, you could have claimed that he maybe had some sort of genetic advantage through his parents, but that was obviously not the case when he was younger. He still had to work really hard to kind of own the potential he had. The fact now it's like, oh yeah, Naruto's a god, and now he can just like master all the tailed beasts and unlock transformations and start shooting off like nuclear bombs. So it's like, okay. I don't know. It really does feel like Naruto as a series it's kind of lost the plot at this point. Now, if you're someone on the other side of the fence and you think this is really cool and it helps to really build the world and all that, that's fine. I ain't gonna, I'm not gonna be mad at you for enjoying that. Like I said, I could see why some people like it, but for me personally, not the way I would have wanted this to go. And I know obviously I'm not the writer. This is not my preferred outcome. And I hate to keep like dunking on Naruto and kind of diminishing his previous feats, but the story itself is kind of doing that. One of the ways it does that, other than the whole Ashura thing, is the fact that we get Minato showing up, which is fine. Minato shows up, but then it's revealed that he has half of the Nine Tails sealed within him, which means that since the very beginning of the story, Naruto has not ever had full access to the Nine Tails. He's only ever had the deal of half of Kurama. And yeah, he still had to show himself like really working hard to overcome the difficulties of Kurama and win its trust. But it's like implied that Minato intentionally left behind the took away the evil, the meaner side of Kurama and left the nicer side. Yeah, it's a great touching thing for Minato to do. Like, it shows that he loves his son and is willing to take on that burden, but it just makes Naruto's achievements seem less impressive in hindsight. And then not to mention the fact that Minato, when he does show up, he just immediately has access to the Kurama chocolate cloak form, which we had to spend like an entire arc watching Naruto defeat or like overcome the tail beast inside of him in order to achieve that form. And Minato shows up and it's just like, yeah, I could do it. Like, was this man practicing how to do that in the afterlife, or is he just is he just like such a ninja god that he knows how to tap into that form immediately, despite the fact that if you think about it, he died, and then the next time he's conscious is when he's getting revived by Orochimaru. It's like when did you have time to practice your mastery over the Nine-Tailed Spirit? And like, I don't want to hate on it completely, because it does lead to a cool moment where the two of them use their cloaked forms. They like pound fists, and then they like combine their attacks against Madara. Like, it's cool. It leads to like a really awesome like still frame. It's just, it feels like we're like really sacrificing some of the writing, just like the logistical flow of the story in order to get to that point. Now to keep harping on some, it really is the writing that's kind of letting me down at this point, but to kind of keep harping on that, a large portion of this chunk of episodes is devoted to like Obito like kind of realizing that he was in the wrong. There's another way he could be going about things. He does not have to just immediately jump to this plan of coming up with Madara and like destroying the world. So the fact that we get to this point where now it's like, oh, Obito wants to apologize, he wants to make amends, and Naruto's kind of on board with that. It feels very weird considering that like in universe and story, this is happening like, I don't know, like an hour after Neji is murdered by this guy. Are we forgetting the fact that like the village was destroyed, and Ino and Shikamaru's their dads were killed? Like, Obito is literally a mass murderer, and Naruto is like, yeah, like, I'm willing to forgive this man, give him another chance. Naruto have given pain. I can kind of, it's a little bit of a stretch, but I could believe it. This is too much of a stretch for my life. Oh boy. And speaking of Neji, that scene where Neji dies, it really just put me in a bad mood. And I think I just continue to have that kind of bad mood throughout the rest of these episodes. Why the heck should we as viewers, like, why the heck should anybody care that Neji dies? This man has had practically zero screen time since like Naruto Part 1. Like, no joke. I'm pretty sure we get his fight against the Sound 4, Neji's fake out death there. And yeah, we know he does live from that, and he is seen in like group shots from time to time. But like, he doesn't really have any story significance until right now, and they're like, all right, but Neji's gonna sacrifice himself to save Naruto and Hinata. It's just like, okay, so if you wanted to kill off one of Naruto's friends, you should have maybe killed off a character that Naruto actually acted like friends with. Yeah, I know he was on friendly terms with Neji, but like, if you're not watching filler, Neji has like zero screen time. Okay, and I know I've been very negative up to this point. I do apologize for that. I just had a lot to get off my chest. I got one more gripe. You're never gonna believe this, guys, but the thing I'm harping on right now, it's gonna be Sakura. Oh boy, so yeah, this is another case where it feels like the groundwork was not properly laid out for this. But like, Naruto shows up to the battle, and then Sasuke shows up to the battle, and they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna become Hokage. Now I'm gonna become Hokage. All right, I guess we're gonna have to team up to defeat the bad guy. And then Sakura rolls up, and she's like, yeah, me too. I'm gonna help you guys. It's like, oh, okay. All right, good for you, Sakura. I know you've been training with Tsunade, and I know you've been working very hard to be like a medical ninja. Sakura shows up, and she's like, yeah, I'm going to get in the fray too, because I'm Team 7. And then she just immediately proceeds to like really start flexing some strength, and is like popping off, and is like actually kind of a threat to some of the people around her. And it's like, yeah, I know you've been training with Tsunade for like 2 years, but like, you being this strong feels pretty unlikely. It only makes it worse that like they had scenes of like Hashirama reacting to her like utilizing the techniques of Tsunade, and he's like, oh my god, she is one of the mightiest amongst us. It's like, you're using Hashirama to hype up Sakura here when she has not earned that. And like, don't get me wrong, I don't doubt had Sakura been as dedicated to like training and becoming as proficient in combat as Naruto or Sasuke, she could reach that level. I'm willing to believe that. But the fact that the only inclination we have is that, oh, she trained with Tsunade, but it's like, Tsunade has been the Hokage for 2 years. How much free time does she actually have to train you when she has the other responsibilities of the Hokage? Not to mention that after Pain's assault, she went into a coma and didn't wake up until the actual beginning of the war. So like, Where did Tsunade actually have the time to train Sakura to be this strong? Like, I really need to wrap up my rambling. Let's kind of reorganize our thoughts. Let's kind of summarize where we're at. So now that we're kind of at the end of this war, we can kind of go back and kind of like look at it as a whole, like see like where we're at. It definitely has some really awesome moments. I've talked about them in this video and my last two videos. A lot of great highlights throughout the war, but there's just so much to slog through to get to the good bits. Easily some of the jankiest, most inconsistent writing. Got so much filler that at least we can skip it now that it's out, but like had you been watching week to week, there had been so much filler. Even the episodes that are canon, they're still just like a huge over reliance on flashbacks to kind of pad out episodes or to deliver exposition for something that was not set up in advance. And like I really struggle because like I don't necessarily hate what Kishimoto is trying to give us here. I just think the execution is very weak. It is falling well short of its potential. Now, I don't doubt that had I been reading this in the manga, I'd probably be having a better experience. But since I'm watching the anime, I am giving I'm sharing my experience with the anime. Now, I am interested to see what happens next because we literally just got Madara cast in the Infinite Tsukiyomi. We even got to see a little bit of what that's like with people going into the dreams and kind of living happier realities while comatose, so like there could be some interesting stuff going on. We still got another like 70 episodes until the end. Maybe we can correct the ship. So as far as where I'm gonna land on my placement of this arc, I'm kind of a little bit more middle of the road here. I think we'll put it right there. It's just great moment, like I said, great moments, but there's so much wrong in the writing and the execution and the pacing. It just really brought it down for me. But I'm gonna throw it back to you guys. What did you think of the Fourth Great Shinobi War? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Or are you somewhere in the middle? Let me know down in the comment below. Now I know the end of Naruto is very close. In fact, I'm probably only gonna have one more video on it. But before we get there, there is one other thing I want to go back and kind of cover. If you're a long-time viewer of this channel, you kind of know where my like anime manga review and journey began. I think it's time we make a return back there, back to the land of Vinland. That's right, Vinland Saga. It is coming to its end. I believe the manga is ending either this month or maybe next month. I think it's this month. So I'm going to be catching up on that. I'm going to be reviewing the ending of that to maybe give my thoughts on the series as a whole. So yeah, if you're a fan of Vinland or Naruto, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of my future content. If you also want to follow what else I've been doing when I'm not making videos, check out my Blue Sky. I've been trying to make an effort to post there more often, or hop into the Discord. Links for those will be in the description down below. Now, if you excuse me, I gotta go read some Viking manga, and then we'll begin back to the Naruto afterwards. So I got plenty to keep me busy. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. Until next time, peace.